What is up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to the Matt Ramage Show. We're going to talk about the 53-man roster just released today, and we got my man Greg over here. We'll talk to him in a second, but be sure to if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, whatever. Be a pal, share it even if you want. Drop in the comments and get involved in the conversations. But a big shout to great sponsors of the show, Quick Trip and Nicolay Law, great sponsors to have. Quick Trip right now, actually, I have this up right here. They have a deal going on tomorrow where I think it's gone now. I think chicken sandwiches they have a sale on. I ruined this. Yeah, $1.69 for chicken sandwiches tomorrow, August 27th, which is my birthday. All right, so go and get yourself some chicken sandwiches. And Nicolay Law, if you get injured in a car accident, they're the people to talk to. They're going to take care of the insurance companies, get you what you do. Make sure you're not missing work too long. And if you are, then you're getting paid for it and whatnot. So shout out to Nicolay Law. Shout out to Quick Trip for both being fantastic sponsors. Now let's talk about some Green Bay Packers football. And Greg, let them know who you are. Let them know why they should listen to you. You know what I mean?
That may be a challenge, Matt, but I'll see what I can do. Um, my name is Greg Haynes, and I spent most of my life in Wisconsin, and as a Packer fan, probably since I was about 5 years old. But in the late 70s or early 80s, I worked as a sports writer, and I was fortunate enough to cover the Green Bay Packers during that time. Um, so I've got I should say, about 10 years experience writing sports, covering high school, college, and of course the Packers. So uh, that goes back a few years, obviously, late 70s, early 80s, but
Long time
it,
ago.
it it's something I really enjoyed. So
Yeah, so we've talked before, so like we kind of know your background for people who might have watched or listened back then. But yeah, you were covering sports like back then, which is a whole different thing. Like in today's thing, we've talked about that before of just how the sports world has changed.
right,
Yeah, now you can be anyone can just be on a camera and be like, "Hey, I can talk about sports." But all right, so we're gonna talk about sports right now. All right, this is I've never really done like the 53-man roster release, so we're gonna see how I do because not the tight sharpest tool in the whole shed. But I hammer the chat. Anyone watching live, any thoughts you have, bring them up because you're probably smarter than we are. Maybe not Greg over here. I don't want to speak for him, but so I'm on Packers.com. Shout out to Wes Hodgkowitz. He has a story on there. So you should head over to Packers.com and check out the writing that he did. And it's much better than what you're about to listen to right here. But all right, so quarterback is no real surprise. Obviously, Jordan Love's the starter. Malik Willis is the backup. Sean Clifford was released, and Taylor El Gersma was released. So does any of that surprise you? What do you think that they do for the third? They got someone on the practice squad. What's the plan?
well, first off, it's not really a surprise.
Yeah.
Willis is a solid backup, and we saw that when Love was hurt. And I think Lafleur and the staff has a lot of confidence in him. Will they add another quarterback on the practice squad? It wouldn't surprise me if they use one of those spots. Probably Clifford, I guess,
Yeah.
would be the most likely choice. Um, so we'll know that tomorrow, I guess. But uh, I don't see any reason why they couldn't put him on the practice squad just as a backup plan.
Yeah, I think that's the most likely thing. I think the quarterback situation is probably the most not surprising at all. But so
Right.
let's jump over here to running backs. We got Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson, and Chris Brooks. Those are the three backs. Injury reserve, designated to return, Marshawn Lloyd, as we all know. And they released some fellas, Johnson, whatever. But yeah, so Marshawn Lloyd, like he's a dude that everyone wanted to see. Then as soon as he got back, he got hurt again. So that that sucks for him. But he can return. Hopefully, we see some of him. But what are your thoughts on the running back situation?
Well, um, I think Wilson shows some promise. I really do. I thought he ran fairly well against Seattle the other day, and they've got to spell Jacobs once in a while. They just can't work him to death. It's a long season, and he's going to take a pounding. So, you hope Wilson and then what's his name? I'm sorry, the other guy that got injured. He's on injured
Lloyd,
reserve.
yeah,
Yeah,
Marshawn
you,
Lloyd.
you hope maybe he comes back and those guys can spell Jacobs once in a while, and they've got young legs and that makes a difference in that position. I think um, they haven't taken the pounding yet that
Yeah.
Jacobs has taken. So
No, I think Josh Jacobs can handle uh a lot of the load. I don't think that they probably want him to, more than he has to, because towards the end of the season, going to the playoffs, you know what I mean? Playing
right,
outdoors and whatnot. But I think he definitely can, and I think that's their plan. I think that he's probably considered the best offensive player that they have. He's a great leader. I had Wes Hodgkins on my podcast. He talked about it, how all the players, Marshawn Lloyd, all those guys, they all look up to Josh Jacobs, and he helps them out. So I think the running back situation is set. We got Emmanuel Wilson is a guy that I always liked, and I think a lot of people were really high on. But then I think the excitement kind of wore off. But I'm still stoked to see what he can do. Like in the spots that he's got the ball, he's made some stuff happen. So yeah, but
right,
hopefully and then you got Chris Brooks. But yeah, hopefully Marshawn Lloyd can come back. I'd like to see him this season. My favorite position we're gonna talk about next, Greg. All right. We are going
okay.
to talk about the wide receiver situation. All right. Here's how they have it, the depth chart for the Packers. And this is just like the opening, depth chart type of thing. This isn't like all locked in like for week one. This is just what they threw on the internet the day they had to do it. Um, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Wicks, Matthew Golden, Malik Heath, Savion Williams. And then Christian Watson obviously is physically unable to perform. They released Hardman, Hicks, Johnson, Will Shepard, Isaiah Nayer. So I like the wide receiver room, and I know like the last couple of years people have been drilling Packer fans because they're like, we don't need a number one because we all got bunch of number twos. But I like this because I do think Matthew Golden's a number one type guy. What he'll do in his rookie season, like we'll see. I think he's gonna get some opportunities, and I have faith in Matthew Golden. I think what he's done in the preseason, the way everyone's talking, like he's doesn't even run like a rookie, like he knows what's going on. I have high hopes for Romeo Dobbs too. Obviously they got to stay healthy and they got to catch the ball this season. Like the whole passing game has to improve. I think the passing game wasn't as bad as people make it out to be last year, but definitely too many drops that kills drives. That just can't happen. But I'm stoked about this wide receiver group. What about you? What do you got?
I agree with you completely. I think that you've got enough depth there at receiver that if they do have a few injuries, you've got guys that can step up. And if we throw the tight ends in with the receivers, I think you've got a couple of tight ends there that are going to contribute, that are going to make a difference. Everybody talks about Kraft, and I think if they get the ball to him, we've seen what he can do.
Yeah,
So I'm excited about the receiver situation. Um, I think if they get the ball to Golden in the open field, he's going to be tough.
yeah,
Because you can't beat that kind of speed. When the guy's running a 4.29, that's moving. So
yeah, and he
I
fights for the ball too. He gets the ball like in contested
right.
throws. Like he gets after it.
Right. I think that like you said, the drop passes thing is something they've got to address. That just can't happen. But
Yeah.
uh, I think that's got to be one of the strengths of the team. Matt, I think is the receiving core. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the tight ends, who we're going to bounce to next. Tucker Craft, I've been talking about him all offseason. Everyone has. I think that he's going to ball out. I think I like him so much just because, like, you follow him on Instagram, like he's out there fishing. He's just like a regular Wisconsin dude. He seems like a regular dude. And I think he's got the skills. Then they got Musgrave, John Fitzpatrick, and Ben Sims. Swinson was released and Lumpkin was released. So those are your tight ends. I think Tucker Craft and Musgrave could do magical things if they're on the field at the same time. Um, you know, there's a whole injury situations. I hate to even say that word because I wanted to linger through the vibes of the stadium. But if both those guys are available with this passing group, I think that obviously, dude, that takes like who do you stop? Josh Jacobs. You got the wide receiver, then you got two tight ends that are capable of exposing you like that. If
Right.
everyone's on the field, if everyone's playing on their game, this offense is like nasty work.
Right. And what we've seen, I think in the last couple of seasons is um, Jordan Love is more than willing to move the ball around. So sometimes we get locked into this. Well, this guy's got to be the star receiver. All these teams in the NFL now, who's their star receiver? And it's like, who cares? If they're all contributing and catching the ball and racking up the yards, if we've got 5 or 6 guys that have caught 3 or 4 passes and it's working, we don't need to say, hey, this guy's number one. We got to have this guy do
Yeah.
everything. Um, you know, that's where I think having uh, the wide receivers that they do and the tight ends, that's going to be their offense. That's going to make a big difference, along with Jacobs, of course.
Yeah, I don't think that there needs to be a true number one, but that's what everyone's going to talk about going throughout the season. But I don't care who gets the ball. I feel like the Packers offense is going to be set up in a way that, like, if a guy gets hot, whether it's Romeo Dobbs, whatever, they're going to come back to him the next game and they're going to give him more opportunities. Like every time you succeed, they're going to give you more opportunities. The ball will go your way. So if you're dropping balls, maybe you don't get as many opportunities. All right, so let's keep her moving over here, as they say, over to the offensive line. All right, I'm not a good person to talk about offensive line. I ain't gonna lie to you. So I'm gonna I'm gonna talk about um who they kept and whatnot, but we'll figure this out. All right. We got Elton Jenkins, Aaron Banks, Zach Tom, Rasheed Walker, Sean Ryan, Jordan Morgan, Anthony Belton, Darian Kennard, Donovan Jennings. Injury reserve, Jacob Monk. So what are your thoughts on this offensive line? Like I say, I'm not gonna talk too much because I'm not gonna talk on my butt. You know what I mean? Because I'm the worst person to talk about offensive line. But what
Well,
what are your
I'm
thoughts?
not, I'm not sure I know a whole lot more about the line than you do, but
This is a
but I will
professional podcast right here. We educating people today,
well
baby.
I will say this. Obviously, Jenkins is the most experienced of the group.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and if he stays healthy, I think he makes a difference on the line. In terms of talent, I think Zach Tom is on his way. And the interesting thing about their line is that they've got guys now um, that can play multiple positions, and that's important because if you get guys banged up and you got to swing people around, a guy
Yeah,
that plays guard all of a sudden is your center, and he's done that before. That makes a difference. So, do they have a lot of experience on that offensive line? No, they don't. But I think if they can get a group that meshes together and can protect Love, which is a big thing,
yeah,
they'll be fine. They'll be fine. And the picking up this guy from Philadelphia, I think based on what I read about him, that was a good move because
yeah.
he's
It
going to
seems
come
like it.
come in and add some depth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to give a shout out to Rick tuning in live. Shout out, I appreciate you. But yeah, I think one thing that you mentioned is that that's kind of what the Packers' way is at offensive line. They like to move guys around. They like to be able to say, "Hey, get to play left tackle today" or whatever. Not they don't like to, but they like to be able to have the option if guys go down, they can swing this guy that way or that way.
Right.
That seems to be the way that they they like to do business, and that's about my knowledge on offensive line. But I do like I feel like they got some depth. I think they got guys that are are good enough to get the job done for sure. Like I say, I'm not going to break down the offensive line because I'm an idiot. But smarter people will do that. You know what I mean? They're smarter people. Shout out to Andy Herman. He'll break that down for you. All right, so the defensive end, we got Rashawn Gary, Luke Van Ness. We got Kingsley Enigabar. I always say his name wrong. Apologies. Brenton Cox Jr., Baron Sorrell. I actually like the defensive end. I think the defensive line has to improve big time. Not just the defensive end, but just the linebackers, the whole pass rush situation. That whole line, and they got a new defensive line coach. So hopefully they learned some new tricks, elevate the game. You know, that should obviously was a big, I'm sure, a focus this offseason, because if you don't get the quarterback, you're toast. Doesn't matter who you got playing cornerback if that quarterback's just dancing back there. So, what are your thoughts on the defensive line?
Well, I think you pretty much nailed it, Matt. They've got to get more pressure this year, and it's got to come from the linebackers on a blitz once in a while, and from your defensive line. I think we haven't talked about the defensive line per se. We talked about the ends here for a second, but Clark has got to have a better year, and Gary's got to have a better year,
Yeah, for sure.
and those guys got to show up, because otherwise you're putting your defensive backs in a really tough position. You know, you could have a really good defensive backfield, but if there's no pressure on the quarterback, there's not a quarterback in the NFL that isn't going to pick a defense apart. They're just too good.
Yeah,
And if
absolutely.
they have time and they can stand back there and look around, the defensive backs can only do so much to stop plays. So that's I agree with you. I think the defense is going to be better this year, and I didn't think they were too bad last year, but I think they'll be better this
Oh,
year.
absolutely.
Just a feeling I
I
have.
think they'll be better because I think as you add a good pass rush, let the pass rush get home more, and that defense jumps big time. So, like David says in the chat, Gary is due, and we're gonna get to the rest of these guys right now. The defensive tackle, Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, Colby Wooden, Warren Brinson, Nazar Stackhouse. They released Esther and what's that? Devontae O'Malley. I can't read. This is small. And linebackers we'll jump to talking about at once. Quay Walker, Edrin Cooper, Isaiah McDuffie, Tyron Hopper. They released Isaiah Simmons. You know, there's some other guys on here, but yeah. So we kind of talked about that. The whole thing with the pass rush. All these guys have to step up. I think that's a good group. Edrin Cooper guy, everyone's talking about. Quay Walker, I think a lot of people, you know, have some opinions on him. I think he's a dude. Kenny Clark, I expect Kenny Clark to step up. I think that this whole line will improve. I have faith, not just the line, but the linebackers, everything. I feel like the pass rush is going to be there another year in this defense. New defensive line coach can't hurt. So we will see. We want to get to some chat over here. See what they're talking about. Rick says, how bad was Barry, the rookie, hurt when they helped him off the field in the preseason game? Um, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. I appreciate the comment though. I'm sorry we can't help you. Do you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure on
This is
that
a
either.
professional
What the
podcast.
follow up on that was.
Professional podcasters.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all right, so now we're getting to the fun position because one of my favorites that made the team, Bo Melton. Uh we're gonna talk about corners right now. We got number one, we got Nate Hobbs, Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine, Bo Melton, Kamal Haddon, Micah Robinson. So, you know, Kalen King got released, Corey Ballantyne got released, and Tyron Herring. But Bo Melton, I think is cool because, you know, wide receiver switching to corner, um, not guaranteed to make the team. I mean, I think that they kind of knew he was. I think they knew what they had in him, and I think that it wasn't just willy nilly. We'll just switch him. Like I don't think at first it was just try it out and see what happens because that's kind of how it was presented at the time. I think that they had a plan. They knew like he has a skill set. He, you know, that we like how he moves, whatever, whatever. We think we can do it. So I think that they expected him to be good enough, and hopefully, you know, maybe he gets better and better. Maybe we've, you know, just made ourselves a great corner. Who knows?
I agree with you. I think that they probably had a pretty good feeling that he could make the adjustment. Um, one thing about professional football, on maybe professional sports in general, is it's pretty rare to take a guy and say, okay, you've always been a wide receiver. Now we're going to make you a defensive back. Uh, you might see some of that in college or something like that, where a guy plays both ways or something. But once you get to the pros, I mean, it's about as specialized
Yeah.
as it gets. You're either good at the position that they drafted you for or picked you up for, or you're not. So to have the guy swing from receiver to defensive back and do it well enough. I agree with you. I think they had a feeling that this was going to work and that this guy can
Yeah.
contribute. So it's an interesting story because I don't think that happens that
No, I
often.
I don't
So
think it does. And what are your thoughts on the cornerback situation? You think that they got good enough? Well, before we talk about that, we'll throw in the safeties as well in that conversation. You got obviously Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, Javon Bullard, Zane Anderson, Keaton, I'm probably saying that anymore. Olatopo. I apologize for that. Hopefully he's not watching. but yeah. So those are your safeties and your. What are your thoughts on this on the secondary back there?
well, obviously McKinney makes a
Yeah,
difference, and you hope you can keep him healthy and because he seems to come up with the interceptions on a fairly regular
yeah. I think
basis.
he had like six in a
So,
row, 6 games in a row to start the season last year.
ri- right, right. Um, uh, some of these other guys, um, I think, are a little unproven yet back there, um, and it's hard to draw a conclusion about them yet. I think it remains to be seen. What you got Alexander, he's gone
Yep.
now, so you got a couple of these guys going to have to step up and really make a difference when it comes to coverage. So we'll see. Uh, Nixon, I think, could be better than he is. I think there's potential there for him to be a better defensive back
You think he will be?
than he has been. Boy, I don't know. He's got to be more consistent in his play, and I think the fact that he can return probably helps keep him on the
Oh yeah,
team.
that definitely doesn't hurt. We're gonna throw to some comments over here. What is up? Sup, boys? Glad to see the Ramage did not get cut. I did not get cut. You know what I mean? I appreciate you. Evening, fellas. Matt
Say,
Brugger, what is good with you? And then we got Rick chiming in. Evans and McKinney both have at least 5 picks. You heard it here first. I like it, Rick. Yeah, so the thing with McKinney, like I had Wes Hotchkiss my podcast. If you haven't listened to it yet, go check it out. Very informative and good podcast. But he was talking about McKinney the same way he was talking about Josh Jacobs, how he's such a great leader in the locker room. Everyone looks up to him. He's a baller. He's what you want on your team in your locker room. So I think he's gonna help the secondary a lot. But yeah, these corners aren't nothing to like brag about. You know what I mean? Just to be honest, we're gonna see, like you say, they are kind of young. I'm excited to see because I think it all works into that pass rush that they got to help out some. But
right,
I'm excited because Nate Hobbs. Let's see what happens. I think he has some injury situations too, so we will see about that. But Evan Williams is a guy that I like a lot. I think he's gonna be a baller in the league, not just on the team. Big things from him. You know, I'm not biased at all. I'm not a homer. I'm wearing the shirt, Homer. You know, couldn't be me. But I'm excited. But the quarterback situation definitely has you something to think about, something to watch, because it's not their obviously most dominant position over here. Look at some of these comments
right.
over here.
I
No, okay, I thought you were gonna say something, but
Oh no, I thought you were going to
that's
read
right. No,
comments.
that's all
I'm
right.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Um, yeah, I mean, uh, with the emphasis on passing now. The NFL is a passing league. I mean, are there some great running backs? Absolutely. You got Derrick Henry and people like that, but uh, the defense has really got to come together. The pass rush and the linebackers stepping up, and it's all got to work together because again, I said it earlier. These quarterbacks, Matt, in the NFL, even if you're playing a backup quarterback because your regular guy's hurt, these guys will pick you apart if they can stand back there and look at two or three different receivers and go, okay, which one am I going to throw
Yeah.
to? So you've got to you've got to put the pressure on, and you know, and then you expect your defensive backs uh, to do a good job with coverage.
Yep.
If the line and the linebackers are putting pressure on the quarterback, then the defensive backs got to step up and make some
Yeah, I
plays.
think that you kind of said it where it's not just about the secondary. It's about that whole group like working together. We're gonna grab a comment here from Danny. He said the problem is they stopped throwing to Xavier after that streak, and they weren't a whole lot more interceptions after that. We need someone on the other side to get it. Yeah, because when you have one guy that is like getting all the interceptions. All right, just stay away from that dude. So you need someone else so they can't
Right,
hide from him. The same way with a pass rusher. If you have one really good pass rusher, they ain't gonna cut it because they can just double him, and then you need someone that can go not let them do that. So they definitely need someone else. They need some ball hawking this season, is what I'm thinking.
right. Well, what I thought was a little bit encouraging was a couple of fumble recoveries in the Seattle game. They got to create turnovers.
Absolutely.
So
Hard hits,
and
bam,
if
right?
yeah, if the defense can do that, then you know Jordan Love's got a shorter field sometimes, and a couple of plays and you're in the end zone. So that was encouraging. I thought that was encouraging to see them uh, get a couple of
Yeah,
turnovers.
absolutely. Turnovers are huge. They got to get aggressive, get after it. Let's get to another comment over here. Frederick says, "My in-laws were down to the right of you at the game. I told them to find you, but didn't happen. Cool anyhow." Oh man, it would have been cool to meet them. I appreciate you, Frederick. And then David, he says, "What cares me most is quarterbacks that run." Oh, it scares me most is quarterbacks that run. Absolutely, quarterbacks that run scare me from like history flashbacks of of games and just this team running quarterbacks like playing the Ravens teams like that when you got a guy that can, even though Lamar isn't run first anymore, but even like you play Caleb Williams, he can run a little bit. I don't know exactly how fast he is, but he he's one of those guys that will go after it. Those are the quarterbacks scary. Not Caleb Williams. He doesn't scare me. Just to be clear. Just to be clear, you know what I'm saying. I want to make sure that's absolutely clear. He doesn't scare me, but yeah, running quarterbacks have always scared me. Even if you're playing in Madden, running quarterbacks scare me every single time because if you can't contain them, they can just destroy you. As we've seen, you got to have the right linebackers and the right guys who aren't going to get sucked in and let the quarterback run outside. You can get destroyed in a quick minute with us and running quarterbacks.
Yeah, there's no question about that, and you kind of see the guys, um, the teams in recent years that have made it to the Super Bowl. Mahomes can move around. Jalen Hurts can move around. The playoff teams, Allen
Yeah,
for
you can get after
Buffalo,
it.
they all have they all have quarterbacks that can contribute carrying the ball if they
Yeah,
have to. So that puts more pressure on the defense because you could think, well, we got this place shut down, everybody's covered, and then boom, the guy runs for 10 or
yeah, and they're
15
just popping
yards.
off first downs like
So
nothing. Get 3rd and 8, all of a sudden, boom, quarterbacks out the pocket, running down the sideline. You don't need that in your life. That's
right,
not good for you.
right. You know, one thing I've noticed, Matt, and I don't know if the Packers did this intentionally or not. I think they probably did. Is there seems to be more team speed, um, not on offense and defense with the Packers. they seem to put the focus on, okay, we got to have guys that can go sideline to sideline and have got some speed. And I see that on the defense now. And of course, when you add a guy like Golden on the offense, um, so that seems to be an emphasis. I think is we've got to be quicker
Oh
to the
yeah,
ball.
absolutely.
Uh,
And speaking of Matthew Golden, like the wide receiver situation, when Christian Watson is back healthy, hopefully at some point, and you got Matthew Golden, and there's other guys too, but just that speed, like, can they contain it? Like that, I think that makes for a scary situation for defenses when you have that much speed at wide receiver, because you better have it at secondary if you know what I mean to try to contain it. But so, what are your thoughts overall on this Green Bay Packers team going into 2025? You see the roster, you see the depth chart. How are you feeling? How are you feeling excited? You feeling like they got a good a chance to do some damage here?
I really am. I think that you know obviously there's some things you can't control like injuries and things like that. But all things being said, um, uh, they look like they're a playoff
Yeah,
team.
babe.
Like they could be a playoff team
Yeah.
again. You know, and I came across kind of an interesting video with a guy talking about the Detroit Lions, and he said he thinks the Lions may have had their chance to get to the Super Bowl. And he's not sure that they're going to do as well this year. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And he said they have the toughest road schedule, Matt, in the NFL. So I took a look at the Lions' schedule this afternoon, and boy, he wasn't kidding. They play Baltimore and Baltimore, Philadelphia and Philadelphia, Kansas City and Kansas City, and Washington in Washington. All these are playoff teams that they've got on the road. And if they win, if the Lions win 13, 12 or 13 games again this year, boy, that'll be an accomplishment because they'll be beating primarily playoff teams on the road.
Yeah. You love to see it. I I I'm yeah, that's what happens when you're in first place. I don't think the Lions are going to be as good as they were.
Sure.
I don't think that they're going to be bad, but I don't think that they're going to be quite as good. I agree with that they had their window, like they had their chance. Not that they say their window's closed because it's absolutely not, but I feel like their best chance
Right.
has passed, and now having because they're getting picked apart with their offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. We're gonna see how quick they can,
Right.
everyone's on the same page. We will see. Hopefully they stumble week 1. You know what I mean? I wouldn't mind that at all.
Well, coming into Green Bay, that's going to be interesting. I think the crowd is going to be a factor, being the first game of the
Yep.
year at
Uh,
Lambeau against a team that you know you've got to beat if you want to win the
yep.
division. It's as
And
simple
I
as
will
that.
be there.
So,
I will be there being loud,
well, there
cheering
you
it
go.
up. Want to say what's up to my guy Steven Zybel. He says, "Hey Matt, a couple surprises on the cuts, but overall I feel good about the team so far." Yeah, I think that's basically the whole rundown of the 53 man roster. Is it? There's a couple of surprises, but nothing crazy. I think everyone kind of expected that. Most of it. Mariah says Packers are favored in week 1. There you go. I like it. Let's go out there and win this thing, dude. I think the Packers do win in week 1. I don't go to games I don't think that they can win because I want to watch wins. I think my record's pretty good. I mean, not to
Right.
say I wouldn't go to a game that I didn't, if they were having an off year, I'd still go. But uh, but I always try to pick the games that are going to be good games. But like, I think they'll win. And I'm not going there to, but I always think that they're gonna win. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased. All right. So Frederick says, "Do you guys like Clifford?" I mean, Clifford. I think he's worth having on the practice squad. We kind of talked about that earlier when we were talking about quarterbacks. But I think he's definitely a guy worth being on the practice squad. But I think that he's not. Malik Willis is a great backup quarterback. But I think I would keep Clifford. I don't think anyone's gonna steal him from you off the practice squad. Maybe he's got some tape, from the preseason. Maybe a team likes him and they try to snag him. But um, do you think anyone's going to try to snag him?
Um, I don't see that happening. I mean, I suppose there's a scenario of some kind where somebody says, "Hey, this guy's got some NFL experience under his belt, and for whatever reason they have a
Yeah, they need a
need.
backup.
Maybe there's an
Yeah.
injury or something. You know, so that's always a possibility. But
You're not gonna lose sleep on it?
no, I don't think so.
No disrespect, Sean Clifford. I know he's
You
watching.
know, I mean, the guy has played some, so if something would happen with Willis, you know, you at least have a
Yeah,
guy that's been on the field and played some, and you know, there's some value in that. When teams bring a guy back, a guy that used to be on your team or used to be on the roster, and they bring him back, they see a
yeah,
value there, or they're not going to waste the spot on
yeah.
it.
I think he's,
So,
probably the best
um,
option for them at
right, I
at a
agree.
third quarterback. But, yeah, there we go. That is
Right.
your, roster breakdown for the 53-man roster of the 2025 season. Now we're underway. Now the preseason's over, the off season's over. Now the fun stuff starts happening. And I want to say everyone who's watching, listening, I'm gonna do a lot of podcasts, a lot of live streams this year. I'm gonna figure out like a schedule to try to do it the same every week. So people know like when I'm gonna be live and whatnot. But I'm thinking like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. I want to do after like Monday shows, talk about what happened obviously on Sunday. Then we'll do some middle of the week stuff, and there's gonna be a lot to talk about this season. So I'm gonna be talking a lot. So I hope you don't get sick of me, but it's gonna be a fun season. I'm excited. You excited?
I'm pumped. I'm ready. And one guy we didn't mention was, and you're going to help me, Matt, with the name here because you got the list in front of you. I
Yes, sir.
think is this kicker the
Oh,
Packers
Brandon
have.
McManus.
Um, Man, he's doing the job. There's no question
Yeah,
about
I
that.
like him a lot.
So, um, you know that when that starts to become an automatic 3 points, boy, that makes a
Yeah,
difference. So I'm impressed with him.
absolutely. Yeah, when you get into a situation where you're not sure the kicker can make the kick, so you go for it and kind of not what you really want to do, and it doesn't matter, or you punt it and you're like doing like a short punt trying to pin them because you don't trust your kicker. That
Right.
sucks. Or when you just miss in crucial situations, you're missing a field goal in the first quarter. You're like, oh, that sucks. Doesn't really mean too much right now. But at the end of the game, you lose by two. It's like, oh, what the, you know what I mean? It like changes the whole game. So you
Exactly.
have to make the kicks. They're not going to make 100% of them, but you got to have a kicker that you can trust. And McManus has shown, and just how he talks too. He says that he's like, I came here to make field goals. I didn't come here to miss. Like I get paid to kick it through the uprights. I don't. I think all kickers realize that too, but he says it, so I believe him. And he had pretty good training camp preseason. I don't know his exact stats, but I know that like I remember like through like he hit so many in a row. Like he was kicking crazy stuff in
Right.
practice. So he's a guy that they trust. I'm glad they got him. It took a little bit to find their kicker, but they got their guy. And yeah, he's going to come in big, especially when you're playing those great teams. You know those good teams you're going to need to beat by 3 or or by 1. They're going to be close games.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. And you know, if you're swapping touchdowns with somebody and it gets near the end of the game, you got a guy you can count on to maybe kick the winning
yep.
field goal. So there's a lot to be said for that.
Absolutely. So if you're not already subscribed to the Matt Ramage Show, everywhere that you listen to podcasts, on Apple, on Spotify, and all those places. Also on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. That would be fantastic. I appreciate you tuning in. Big shout out to the sponsors of the show. We got Quick Trip and we got Nick Laylaw, the best sponsors a podcast could want, coming out of Wisconsin. And we're going to be back. Actually, this week I'm going to Quick Trip to visit their getting a tour of their factory where they make all their stuff. I've done it before. It's in La Crosse, so I probably won't have a live stream middle of the week because I'll be doing stuff. But we're gonna be back at this either end of the week or next week for sure. We're gonna be getting after it as the regular season kicks off. Peace out, everyone. Thanks for watching when you're watching live.
Yo, welcome to the Ramage Show. Midwest vibes, let your spirit flow. Package pie, get it in the loud.
Come on, get it.